because we brought the deeper dive downtown into the Capitol today, right here in the 4th floor of the Rotunda. So there's a little ambient noise, but that's okay. And I am here with a little bittersweet moment, bringing a close to this chapter. For the last 5 years, we've taken a deeper dive with Dara Kam into the stories that matter most. And it's been an incredible privilege to share this space with you. Now, as one door closes, a fascinating new one is opening, and I'll be excited to share more with you about that later. But for now, I want to thank all of our sponsors, all of our listeners, all of our divas, that's right, all of our divas, and all of the folks here at the News Service of Florida who have made this journey possible. I especially want to thank Mike Exline, who has been our excellent engineer here at the Deeper Dive. I'd like to thank Jasmine Freeman. She has been the world's best team leader. I could not have wished for or received more support from anyone than Jasmine. Thank you so much. My other colleagues at the news service, Jim Turner and Tom Urban, I'll be seeing you in the Capitol, and Big Papa, keep those pictures of Thompson coming. So, as we head into this episode, I just want to again say thank you and also let you know that we're doing a reporter roundtable from the Capitol. We will have two of our regular guys, you know them, Jason and Forrest. They're the best. And then we have a fresh face for you, Douglas Soule. He's a public radio reporter, and he'll talk to you about what's going on in his coverage. So thank you for listening. Please join us for a deeper dive reporter roundtable from the Capitol.
We are sportscasters in a way, and we are watching the game. And I think the political intrigue, the chair, the handshake, that is color commentary. And it's important to set the stage for what is actually going on behind the scenes.
You're listening to Deeper Dive with Dara Kam, a podcast by the News Service of Florida. Let's dive in.
Hey, wait a minute. We're rolling here. What happened with Fish Sticks?
Well, apparently Fish Sticks called a press conference. I should call him James Fishback. I am officially on record here. So he called a press conference, it seems like, to stoke... Hey, sir. We're live on scene. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Let me do before we jump into Fish Sticks, let me just tell all the divas that we are actually podcasting live from the Rotunda today. It won't be live by the time y'all listen to it, but this is a bittersweet moment for me and my boys. Maybe not for my boys, but for sure for me, because this will be my last podcast for the News Service of Florida. Some of you may know I will be transitioning to a new position and at the end of the month, and I will still be podcasting. And so stay tuned. More to be announced on that shortly. But let's get back. Nobody cares about me. Let's just talk about what's going on here. It's an exciting day on Thursday here in the Capitol, and standing up, not in the speakeasy, actually in the hallowed halls of the Capitol, with two of my best boys, Forrest Saunders, E.W. Scripps.
Nailed it. No notes.
No notes. Freestyling it. And Jason Delgado, Spectrum News. So,
One last little rodeo here.
yeah, we got it. We're here. We are the dynamic trio.
Yes.
So we just came from a press conference with the Black Caucus. We'll talk about that in a moment. But before that, and at the same time, now I set you up.
Yes. Okay. So James Fishback, the controversial candidate for governor in 2026, he decided to call a press conference on top of a press conference in the middle of Rural County Day out in front. It sounds like he did not have the approval of DMS, so he had to relocate his press conference.
Oh, hell no. No, that did not just happen.
Yes, he did. He had to move around the corner, and they basically did an impromptu in front of the historic Capitol instead, because Corey Simon had already booked the space for his Rural Renaissance package, State Senator Corey Simon. So James had to move around, and then his announcement was that he would be announcing something soon with regards to his lieutenant governor pick. And really, to me, and this is just me sort of, calling balls and strikes here from the sidelines, but to me, that felt like a press conference for the purpose of getting someone to ask him questions about the whole Christina Pashaw situation. It was an excuse to have a press conference because he didn't really announce anything. He just said, hey, I'm going to be making an announcement soon. That's my announcement.
So it was some bullshit, is what you're saying.
That would be my expert opinion, yes.
Here's my question, and I'll show a little leg here.
Oh, I love when you show leg.
Episode. How much media does he truly deserve at this stage?
I think it's a good question. How much media does he deserve in order to be a candidate to participate in, for example, gubernatorial debates, right? Candidates have to get so much in the polls, and the problem is, I think we saw
fundraising. And then I bring that up for a specific purpose, which is that our quarterly report that we saw from Fishback was $950 period, and that's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, listen, hey, it's more than I have in my bank account sometimes.
That was hard money. Does he have a PAC?
I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but what I can tell you is that we have to question whether or not his coverage is warranted at this point in time until he, maybe makes a mark in the polls or potentially puts up hundreds of thousands of dollars or, something of that nature. Is he a serious candidate? He says he is. I mean, that's something he told us at his first press conference when he announced. But as far as I have seen, he is, more or less an online entity.
James Fishback.
Yes.
Who 6 months ago, I don't know that.
He was an unknown outside of just political commentary on, right-wing outlets and some of the others.
I only have two, so when you hold it, you need to have that.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, I have to see the little bean.
Yes. So you guys switch because I'm the diva.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you guys share and I'll be the hog.
Okay.
I think but one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, you touched on it, is Christina Pashaw.
Yes.
And James Fishback. And people may or may not know, because I don't think I've mentioned it 10,000 times yet, but here's 10,001. I have pneumonia, and I've been very, very ill at home, working from the command center at the Lafayette Park Bureau with my Ricolas and my tissues and Max. So here comes Phil Willette. Let's run away.
Oh.
Phil Willette's going to be joining us in a moment. But before we get to Phil, look, hey, it's our last
the girls
one.
here on the radio
Before, let's get to Phil, and then we'll come back to the
Probably
Pusha.
best to address it now.
Let's do it now. Phil Willette, here, you let him know how you hold the mic like this. Phil Willette is the videographer for Spectrum News.
Cameraman, photographer, videographer, whatever you want to call me. As long as my check's clear, I'm good.
3%.
As long as they don't call you late for dinner, right? What, now he's tongue-tied?
I'm not tongue-tied.
He's
I'm just wondering
tongue-tied.
what sort of
He's
insight I walked
tongue-tied.
in on here
He's
with the two
tongue-tied
mean
over
girls,
that.
probably slamming my age.
Let me let
Probably
the
these
divas
young
know.
kids today slamming my age.
Let's inform the divas that Phil Willette has been pestering me incessantly to be on the podcast almost since its inception. Am I right, guys?
No, you're absolutely right. But there's a reason he's not on air.
And that's because we need to use the explicit button as a warning for this episode, which
No, we're going PG-13 today.
No, come on. We need full frontal Phil.
No. I have people I answer to. We're not going to go full frontal on this one.
All right. Well, Phil, tell me, what do you want our divas to know about what you do as the videographer? What did you call yourself? Cameraman,
Photographer,
photographer,
photojournalist.
all those things.
Yep.
For Spectrum News. Phil is somebody who has been around here for a minute. He's been around here probably not as long as I have, but
No.
You've been in the biz for quite the minute.
In the biz, 1989 till today.
Okay, wow.
So it's been a ride.
Yeah. So what's the biggest change that you've seen? And guys, I'll get back to you in a minute.
Fine.
But we have Phil here, and on my last episode, I'm keeping true on my promise that
You are keeping true. I think the biggest change I've seen is the drop off in the level of talent for on-air people.
Yep.
I think,
Wait a minute.
I think that the business, has financial concerns. What happened? Did you shut me off?
That was for your drop off in the talent comment.
There were backroom tips given. Everybody respected the journalists. And then this is where we are today with these two yahoos.
I think what Phil is alluding to is the fact that we have fresh young talent, and these guys bring one of the added value of Forrest and Jason is that they are cohorts of the people who are in leadership. I mean, the people who are running the state, Phil, are young enough to be our kids.
I'm not buying that story.
Okay, no.
I think what it is that they save money when they're shaving cream razors, when they're out shaving their arms, and that kind of Gen Z stuff that goes on in the new journal pool.
Okay. I have
never
to
shaved my arm.
I have
don't know what the hell that
The
means.
shaved arm guy.
Where did that
That's
even
right.
come from? What is the shaved
They've been
arm?
shaving parties. Jason and Forrest and their shaving parties.
Well, one thing that we know for sure is there is a lot less when you talk about where I thought you were going with that is there used to be a lot more backroom deal making, and there used to be a lot more mystery in the process. Some people hate when you use the word process, but everything wasn't as scripted as it is now. But now we've got kind of with Ron DeSantis and Daniel's House Speaker, Danny Perez, and
Who yelled at Forrest?
that's right. We'll get into that in a
Who
moment.
yelled at Forrest?
Yeah, okay. But I think we're getting back to the days where we might see where everything isn't as predictable as it became for a short period of time.
I think the biggest difference, and not just in politics, but in all local coverage of news, is access in the sense of, they're not going to talk to you unless they know what they're going to say to you. And there's not a whole lot of room for surprise anymore. And I kind of see the media laying down for that a little bit, and it bothers me. But
that's so funny because the elected officials and politicos and people who are, powerful people frequently blame the media for being the problem. So it's kind of rich that we have now here in front of us a member of the media blaming the media for the problem. But okay, go ahead.
Well, I don't blame the media for it. I
think he just did, but go ahead.
He blames young media.
No, I don't blame young media. I blame the system. The system is now, it's a controlled message. There's not a whole lot of, call somebody up and go do an interview with them. It's going to be an appearance or, so they're going to get their message out. And I think because there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
And it just is, it's just, that's what I've seen change.
Okay.
I don't think that we're untrue. I think that we can't hold the powerful accountable as much as we used to. And the other part of that is I think the public is all living in echo chambers, so they're going to hear what they want to hear anyways.
Right. I think social media plays a big part of that,
huge part.
obviously.
A huge part.
All right. Well, Phil Willette, anything you'd like to share? What is your biggest moment reporting from the Tallahassee Capitol that you want to share with our divas?
My biggest what?
Moment?
Oh, it had to be Parkland.
Parkland.
Had to be Parkland.
Yeah.
Epic. I mean,
Yeah.
just tragedy and inspirational. The stories that came out, it was hands down Parkland.
Yeah.
Nothing even close.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Too. You got
Totally
to see
agree.
the legislature react and do something that they believed was going to make a difference.
Did you see Forrest commenting on my biggest moment? He did. Just can't help
Phil
himself.
Willette
Can't help
joining
himself.
us here on Deeper Dive.
Can't
Thank
help
you
himself.
so much. All right. I fulfilled my obligation.
Phil reminds me of my father because he's such an ass.
Well, I hope your father isn't listening to this.
No, I love my dad.
Yeah.
I'm working on Phil.
Okay. Okay. Well, we were talking about the Christina Pushaw and Jeremy Fishback. Anyway, I was saying I was home sick and missing all the tweets and whatnot, and somebody texted me the next day and said, "Oh my gosh, can you believe this?" And I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And so I had to quickly, even as sick as I was, I ended up doom scrolling for a while. So can you tell us fill us in on that?
You know, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this. I really don't know what happened between them. I know Matt Dixon did a original story about how there had been a connection between them, which Pushaw denied. And then it seems on this social media post last weekend, she said, "No, I have been talking to him and I have been sort of giving him advice on the campaign." And I'm paraphrasing here. I mean, she has a very long statement online as to what happened. So I encourage people to go check it out. But it got really ugly super fast.
It was weird.
And
It was weird. Her
Yeah.
tweet, it was very weird.
because James then responded with a bunch of posts about the phone calls he'd received and text messages that he'd received from her, urging him to delete all their connections and messages. She said that she had a lot to lose in some of those. And I don't know how close they were. I don't know any of that. She, again, detailed a lot of that in her post. But, and then she's since told Politico that, yes, indeed, they were talking and sort of working together on his campaign. But was it in a friendly capacity? Was it in an officially sanctioned DeSantis capacity? That remains the big question. Was the DeSantis side of the political side of the DeSantis administration trying to put James Fishback out there as sort of a lightning rod and a spoiler candidate? There's a lot of questions as to whether or not that's the case.
Let's just remind our listeners who Christina Pushaw is. She's an influencer, social. I think if you ask Alex Andrade who she is, he will say she's the leader of Ron DeSantis's online army of online trolls. But she went to work for the Trump for the governor's presidential campaign. I'm sorry, right? And she is an influencer on social media. And
I haven't followed this too closely,
Okay.
admittedly, but I did see the tweet. Tell me if I'm wrong. She apologized on Twitter, and I think that was noteworthy to me in the sense that
she apologized to the governor, I think. Who
Yeah.
did she apologize to?
I think she just apologized in general that she had been involved with him, and then there was this question whether or not she was going to resign because of the connection, and whether or not she had told the governor. She
Oh,
said
okay.
she hadn't.
So she apologized for being affiliated with an asshat. And I'm not calling him an asshat. I'm saying like in her like oh, that I can't believe I even was engaging with that.
and just in a whether it was in her
Again,
personal
not
capacity.
me saying I've never met him, I've never spoken with him, so I'm like asshattery, I don't know.
But whether it was in a personal capacity or professional capacity, it's noteworthy when anyone in this administration apologizes. I would say it's not. They pride themselves on something unapologetic. About
Never
things.
back down, never say sorry.
It's
Never admit you made a mistake.
Quite literally the name of the DeSantis 2024 super PAC. Never back down.
Right. Like it's always been kind of baked into the literature and the cake there. Of never back down.
Yep.
So that was the only thing that popped up to me. Otherwise,
I think for a lot of people, it's sort of real insider baseball. It's the kind of thing that we talk about.
It's the kind of thing the divas love.
It's super gossip. And I think that, like, I've always told young journalists, I'm like, politics to a degree is really just gossip for adults. That's what it is. And I still believe that, especially in instances like this. Did you see what she said about him? Oh my God.
I know. It's so funny because we in here especially here on the fourth floor. God, why didn't we come over here? I should have thought of this sooner. It's much quieter over here. Apologize, divas. I'm attributing everything to pneumonia brain right now. So but we do, I call it reporter catnip. Yeah. The kind of thing that makes us like, woo, back when I used to blog, it was so fun to be able to get, this one said this, or these two were having lunch together, or look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. One of my ex-husbands accused me of being so busy reading between the lines that I didn't read the lines. And they make it pretty easy to do that here because there's always some kind of intrigue. Oh, yes. And this lately, the past year, and now going into the second year of this with these fractured relationships that we've discussed, makes it makes it much riper for people like me to be looking for reading between the lines. Like, I don't know, the governor didn't shake Danny's hand. Was that a intentional slight? Oh, there was a chair. There wasn't a chair. This is what you got yelled at over, right? This was so it does, the palace intrigue might seem silly and inconsequential, but it does. And I'd love for you guys to tell me why this does matter ultimately for how things get done.
I think that it is, I'm going to pass it to Jason because he absolutely has something to say about this, but I think it's fascinating from the sense of like, we are sportscasters in a way, and we are watching the game. And I think the political intrigue, the chair, the handshake, that is color commentary, and it's important to set the stage for what is actually going on behind the scenes. And I think that is our best indication sometimes. And so that's why we highlight that stuff. It's also very human, and it's important that we show human moments because we want our viewers to be engaged and to recognize that politicians are people too. And I think that that's important to showcase when you're trying to tell human stories about policy and legislation.
I think there are valuable anecdotes that can be pulled, that can kind of speak to the larger story. Where I take issue is when that becomes the story. Particularly it's not lost on me that the people that I refer to in a news package aren't really known outside of this building, and that they walk their districts and they shop at Publix, and odds are no one's stopping them to say, "Oh my goodness, you must be state representative who?" That's not the case. And so I try not to make a molehill into a mountain about the beef that anyone has between themselves till it starts to like influence potential outcomes, which I think the handshake was, especially on opening day, was one of those things where it's like, oh, is that the tone? But that wasn't the story of day one.
What was the story of day one?
Well, I think whatever visions they laid out there, whatever kind of policy could come out on the back end of this, and I think the handshake or lack thereof kind of is something that one could look at and say, I wonder how that might impact the broader story.
As illustrative, as a I don't know if you call it a metaphor or whatever, but it sets the tone, it sets the stage for what we can expect from over the next, I don't know how many days are left, and plus there's more days coming up with special sessions. So it gives an indication also, if you're talking about human beings, of who people are. The governor is very, he bows up. He's very brash. I remember the first, he shakes his finger at reporters. He calls out reporters. He questions them during press conferences. So what we're seeing here in this administration and with with James Ethmeyer too, is these are a new breed of politicians, new to me. Maybe this is the only breed that you guys know, but it's a different breed of politicians from those that maybe were more followed a set of guidelines for how you interact with the media and with people online and
it is interesting to me to hear stories from like more veteran reporters about what life was like in this building and how business kind of was conducted. Because all I know is the DeSantis administration. I mean, I like out of college.
So you want me to tell you about sitting upstairs in the Senate Majority Leader's office drinking Johnny Walker Black? Is that the expensive one? Johnny Walker Black, smoking cigarettes inside the building after the building was non-smoking. And he had a bunch of fans and an aide who came around with the Lysol every 10 seconds. This actually happened. Every appropriations leader that I knew over many years also had fully stocked bars in their offices, and we'd go over there and hang out and shoot the shit and knock a few back in now this was a long time ago. As you know, I haven't done that in probably 2 decades. So
you know what's interesting is I noticed that somewhat in the staffers here too, in the LAs or the comms directors, the people we interact with.
They're smoking cigarettes and drinking Johnny
I have yet
Walker
to see
in
them
the office.
rip a dart here in the Capitol. But to a degree, you could tell the people, generally speaking, Forrest, tell me if you think I'm wrong, who have done this for a very long time, have a much more cordial or open or interactive relationship with the press, as opposed to someone more new in the process, where it's like a night and day.
Yeah. No, I would completely agree with that. I mean, Jason and I can both attest that we've knocked a couple back with some of these senior staffers in this building, And I mean, it's because they see things from a different perspective. I think the newbies that are coming in, with admittedly some lawmakers who are younger than me, I'm not that young, Phil, are a different set of politicians, different way of seeing things. They understand how, quote unquote, the process works. And I just don't think they're as bothered by it. But then, you meet these new teams and they're very resistant to even doing interviews sometimes, unless they have their comms team vet it beforehand. And so as a result of that, like it is a new wave of politicians. It's a new wave of reportage because of them. And I think that we're trying to figure out how best to cover it. Phil's not wrong. Things have changed dramatically, and everything that comes out of a press conference now is largely sanitized, sterilized, and talking points. And you just don't get what I believe to be as much conviction as you used to.
And my hope is I don't need you to love me as a member of the press or like me or heck, even respect me. But an email back would be appreciated.
My gosh,
like, hey,
don't
Jason,
get me started.
We're not gonna go there.
Don't
Deal.
get me started. Right,
Let's
just
just
like
be clear.
We're not commenting. We're not,
I
off
can
the
respect
record.
that.
We're not commenting. At least just acknowledge that you received what I sent you. That is one of my major pet peeves.
I came from Iowa. It's not like that in Iowa. When I came here my first year in 2019.
It wasn't like that here.
It's crazy. I mean, 2019, when I came here, I was like, I can't get anyone to pick up the phone. And I didn't understand it because...
And look at you. Now you're knocking back drinks with them here in the Capitol.
That happened, I think, once or twice. And it was a catered event. But, I mean, I'm just saying, like...
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. It's different. It's different. Even in my short tenure in journalism, which is only about 15, 16 years.
I really do enjoy doing these shows with you guys, and I want you now to pinky swear that we will continue this in the future in whatever guise it is. And so first, let me get you to pinky swear.
Here I'm extending my hand.
We're pinky swearing.
That's a 3-way pinky promise.
Somebody needs to take a picture of that. And then thank you so much for joining me here on the ultimate Deeper Dive with Dara Kam by the News Service of Florida.
I'm excited for your new chapter. Go get him.
Toodaloo.
You can cut that.
So long, and thanks for all the fish. And we'll be right back for Reporter Roundtable. And now, a word from our sponsor, Moffitt Cancer Center. At Moffitt Cancer Center, breakthroughs in cancer biology and metabolism are reshaping how researchers understand the role of diet in cancer prevention, treatment effectiveness, and reducing treatment toxicity. Through a $10 million investment in the Population Engagement and Research Lab, Pearl, Moffitt is conducting advanced nutritional, metabolomic, and behavioral studies led by experts in energy balance and cancer metabolism. As one of only 3 facilities of its kind in the nation, Pearl includes a research kitchen that enables precision feeding studies, allowing scientists to understand how specific diets affect certain drivers of cancer. On January 28th, Moffitt will bring this work to Tallahassee for Moffitt Day at the Florida Capitol, featuring a live Pearl kitchen demonstration. Learn more at moffitt.org. That's Moffitt, MOFFITT.org. Divas, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's time for the news in haikus. The news in haikus. This time brought to you by Douglas Soule.
Thank you, thank you. In the Rotunda, where the resident echoes foretell big changes. Thank you, thank you.
In the Rotunda, where the resonant echoes foretell big changes. Thank you, Douglas Soule.
My pleasure.
Don't forget, we'd love to hear your haiku. You can slide them into my DMs, or you can send them to podcasts, that's podcasts with an S, at e.newsserviceflorida.com. Wherever you're listening, please don't forget to subscribe and give us a rating if you like what we're doing. And we're back from the Capitol. Okay, we're here for another segment in our Divas. We're here for another segment in our live from the Capitol with a reporter roundtable of a different ilk today. I am here with Douglas Soule, and I am going to let you give your title because it is a mouthful and I know I'm going to screw it up.
No, it's all good. I'm Douglas. I'm part of WUSF, which is the Tampa Bay area's NPR stations, your Florida team, which endeavors to explain the civic process to Floridians.
Okay, well, that's great. And what are your beats? What do you cover mostly?
This session, it's been a lot of property tax, a lot of what's going to happen with redistricting. But of course, those are ironically the 2 topics that might not come up officially in the regular session, with talks of special sessions following this regular session. But I try to follow a diversity of bills. Yesterday, I covered a bill that would bring UTVs to various public roads in Florida, utility terrain vehicles, side-by-sides. Huge deal.
Okay, wait a second. Just run that by me again, because I missed this one. This is the kind of this is what we call talkers in the right. That's a kind of a talker bill.
So this bill passed the Senate last year, did not pass the House. It was actually TP'd yesterday due to
TP'd everyone. We know the divas are sophisticated, but that means they temporarily put it aside or they didn't vote on it in the committee. Excuse me.
I should have specified. When I first heard the term TP, I was thinking toilet paper. I was very confused in the committee room. I was very confused. There were like some concerns about safeguards in this. Of course, UTVs are a lot less weight-wise.
Every time you say UTV, I think UTI, but go ahead.
No, I'm going to be honest. I had to catch myself yesterday, almost saying that myself. So
What can't we call them? You're calling them side by side. There's those little things with four-wheel people drive around in the woods.
Yeah, they're commonly used for like outdoor work and outdoor recreation, such as trail riding.
Yes.
You can imagine. I think listeners have seen them in at least once in their lives. And
Sure, it's like a four-wheeler.
Daily if they live in a rural area.
Yeah.
The bill stood out to me as a born and raised West Virginian.
Nice. Shout out to the home.
I always try to work that in.
I love that. Yeah.
And not particularly in my hometown, but there are various areas of that state where you can see these UTVs just driving down Main Street. And it's especially a big deal in rural areas. But some lawmakers, key lawmakers on the committee yesterday where this bill was heard, were concerned about what if UTV meets even a sedan, which is a lot heavier than a UTV. Additionally, UTVs don't have near as many safety features as regular vehicles. So it created a lot of discussions about safety and are we doing enough to keep everyone on the road safe. So that was temporarily postponed, otherwise known as TP'd,
right,
yesterday. So I'll be following that as well on Tuesday.
And it would let them be on any kind of a road?
Yeah, I should specify that. It would be 2-lane county and city roads that are less than 55 miles per hour. Now, a big part of this bill, and this is something the sponsor, Senator Tom Wright, emphasized when he heard the concern about safety, was that communities can decide not to allow it. And they can also pass, if this were to become law, stricter regulations than what it's in state
that's
law.
kind of a reversal because the state loves to preempt locals from doing anything. They like to be in charge.
That is a common theme, bill to bill,
Yes.
session to session. But this is not doing that. It doesn't force them to do that.
I see.
But nevertheless, the concern was prevalent enough that it was temporarily postponed. And it's interesting, I covered another transportation-related bill on Tuesday, which was all about electric bicycles, particularly about having to yield to pedestrians when you're in parked paths, having to slow down to less than 10 miles per hour when you're on a sidewalk and you're driving a electric bicycle.
Okay, wait. Are you allowed to ride bicycles on the sidewalk? Because I thought you weren't allowed to ride bicycles on the sidewalk.
It says sidewalk or like emphasizes pedestrian area. I'm not sure what this...
Do you know? Okay, we don't know.
I admittedly...
Divas need to take a Google on
I'll say this.
Yeah.
That's something I should know more about, not just as a reporter, but as somebody who bikes to the Capitol.
Do you bike?
I do.
My neighbor across the street from me, I love him, Ben. Shout out to Ben and Libby. They're great. Ben rides his bicycle to work every day. I live in Lafayette Park, and he works for a state agency that is quite far away. And he does this because he, as a conscious effort to not pollute the planet. He's a vegan, and he's like really living his values by riding his bicycle. He actually has gotten hit twice in Tallahassee. So you live in what? You don't need to give me your street address.
So when you say Lafayette Park, do you mean the Heritage Trail or do you mean the small woods park next to Midtown?
I live in a neighborhood called Lafayette Park that has that what is called Lafayette Park in Midtown.
I live right next to that same spot.
Okay,
so
great.
Very
we're
similar
neighbors
distances.
then. We'll have to come hang out. Yeah, have to ride your bike over to my house sometime.
I bike around there. I walk with Jason Delgado a lot. He's my neighbor.
Yes, he was just here. We were just deeper diving.
Yeah, well, many a morning we're trotting around, and it's a lovely area to trot around and bike around. But when you're biking from there to the Capitol,
treacherous.
It's very treacherous, and
I think riding a bicycle on the street in Tallahassee anywhere is treacherous.
So I stick to the sidewalks on my way.
Do you?
I get on North Monroe.
Okay, well, if it's against the law, nobody's going to turn him in, because I don't know that it is. I'm just making that up in my head.
Now, admittedly, when I do this bike ride, I am wearing my suit. I have a backpack of
so that makes it okay.
Radio gear. No. So I am not exceeding 10 miles an hour regardless, and it's not an electric bike. But
did I mention I have pneumonia, Divas? Yes, I did.
You're doing great. All things considered.
Thank you.
So it just emphasizes, it places certain standards on electric bikes. Actually, there was an original version of this bill that was changed via an amendment that would have required certain licensing for some of the faster versions of electric bikes, but there were some enforcement concerns with that, so they removed that from the bill that is moving forward now. Though they created a task force to review future regulations related to electric bikes and to make recommendations for future regulations. So I think this is going to be a topic that we see a lot of. And that's the fun thing about covering the Capitol is each day there's a new topic, and each topic is pretty important to listeners. I think if you don't have an electric bike, you at least see them on the street. So what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do impacts us all. And
Absolutely. And I love these kinds of bills that we're not to be lazy, but I do enjoy legislation that has an impact on readers or viewers or listeners, and you don't have to, it's easier to translate into why they should care about this or why this matters to them, because sometimes it's a little bit difficult to do that. But before we move on to that, let me ask Perplexity here. Is it legal to ride a bicycle on a sidewalk in Tallahassee, Florida? Let's see what AI has to
I imagine
say.
it varies city by city.
Something went wrong. Please try again later.
If we're on the AI train, I'll ask ChatGPT. Let's see.
All right, you do that. Perplexity got perplexed by that question.
1 second. Hey, I'm living in Tallahassee, Florida. I have a bike. Am I allowed to ride that bike on sidewalks here?
Hey there, in Tallahassee and Florida in general, you can ride a bike on sidewalks unless local ordinances say otherwise. But when you're on a sidewalk, you have to yield to pedestrians.
Okay, unless local ordinances say otherwise. All right, turn it off now.
But do
Thank
local
you.
ordinances say
Right,
otherwise?
exactly. So here we are in the world of AI. I mean, you guys, we've been experimenting with AI lately on Deeper Dive. So here we go. So one more thing. I have a friend of mine who lives in Old Town, which is the neighborhood on the other side. I love that neighborhood too, on the other side of Miccosukee. He loves his electric bike, and he's zipping around town all over on it. I mean, I would think that an electric bicycle on a sidewalk could be problematic, but if you have to yield to pedestrians, you have to yield to pedestrians. Maybe not so much.
I'd have to imagine. So, I mean, these things can go pretty quick. Now, there are versions that go quicker than others. When I visited West Virginia for Christmas, I rode my mom's, and I couldn't get it higher than 21 miles an hour, and I had to really push to reach that, but pretty casually, I could maintain 14, 15 mile per hour speeds on a bicycle that's a lot heavier than a bike without the electric engine components in it.
Yeah.
That being said, if I'm an electric bicyclist in Tallahassee, I'm well aware of the dangers of being on the road itself.
Sure. So, I mean, we've also had these same issues with scooters, right? The scooters that people forget the names of them.
Those electric scooters, they got there. There's different companies. I forget that
they were a thing mad everywhere in Tallahassee for a while, and now you don't see them as much.
You don't see as much now. Living in Midtown, near the bars in Midtown, you do see people drunkenly getting on them to go home. Though I don't think that is allowed. I don't think that's technically allowed, but they're trying to do their due diligence and not driving a regular car. I suppose. I think that's still a DUI if it's an electric bike. I would have. Don't quote me on that, as you are actively quoting me on things.
No, I'm not. Okay, so you were talking when I interrupted you. We were talking about translating complex stories that sometimes might not be immediately. People want to know why do I care about that? Why is she telling me about that? Why is Doug talking about that?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm currently in a job that's whole purpose is to explain the civic process and all this complex stuff in a way that everyone can understand. And especially now that I'm in radio, prior to this, I worked for the USA Today Florida Network in print, covering the First Amendment topic, which is, pretty niche. There's a lot of stories I did, but it was pretty niche. I got to know it pretty well. Then I jumped into this more daily churn of every day is kind of a new day for me and the people who listen to what I do. But also with radio, you have to explain these things very simply. So last week, when that complicated voucher overhaul bill passed, it was a lot of work to figure out, how do I condense this complexity into to 1 minute.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Which bill?
It was the private school voucher overhaul
That's right.
bill that passed last week out of the Senate chamber. We have no idea what the House is going to do with that. Not having an idea what's going to happen is a big theme of this session, I see. And
That's true.
But there are things that, there's overall themes we cover, like the major priorities of the legislative leadership. And there's also these very interesting bills, such as the UTV bill and the electric bike bill, that might not be politically charged, but are talkers and also hugely impactful to your neighbor, for example, or anyone in a rural area who loves their UTV.
Right. And I mean, we talk about, like, I do the podcast, and sometimes we get into very deep detail. That's what it's called, deeper dive, about particular issues. Today we're talking sort of at the 30,000 foot level, but I think the voucher bill, like what you could do with that is, hey, there's a bunch of money that went missing, or they can't find it. It's like, doesn't follow the kid. It's going here, it's going there. They want to tighten up the regulations. How like, is that the kind of the approach you end up taking? I mean, you do have very short segments. Listen, first of all, run out and get yourself, donate to your local and PBS. I'm sorry.
Also donate to PBS.
Also donate to PBS, which I also do, and also support your local public radio station, which I am also a member of and a huge fan of.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what now as we're going into the next weekend session, is there anything in particular that you're going to be looking at?
Yes. I mean, I'm like you yourself. Sorry, I'm going to wake these people in a pad.
Okay.
Always a bustle in the Capitol. It's nice to see.
Yes, we got some ambient sound here.
Perfect. Sets the scene. I think, like many other reporters, I'm going to continue analyzing some of the priority bills that could very well be pushed outside of the vicinity of the 2-month session, like property tax reductions, as well as a new congressional map, potentially.
Great.
Obviously, Governor DeSantis already called a special session for the map, has floated one for property tax. The lawmakers could just decide to do something this session anyway. There's a lot of big question marks there. And there's also a slew of other priority bills that I think everyone wants to see what their futures are. There's the bill that would lower the long gun buying age from 21 to 18. That was, of course, raised following the Parkland massacre.
That's right.
There's Senate President Albritton's rural renaissance legislation.
That's right.
Which would infuse a lot of monetary and other resources into rural, financially constrained counties. There's so much to watch. And what's interesting is there's so much we have our eyes on right now that will impact Floridians from the Panhandle to the Keys. But there's also so much that hasn't happened in that last year, a major part of session was this proposal from the House to reduce the sales tax. But that didn't come about until a few weeks into the start of session.
Right.
So what we cover now might be dramatically different in only a week's time. And that's something you always have to be aware of now when you have such dramatic divides in the GOP leadership. And dramatic, at least in terms of when I started here as a reporter. I came here in July of 2022. Governor DeSantis.
Fresh meat, y'all.
Fresh meat. DeSantis was at peak political power, and a lot of it was DeSantis says what he wants, the Republicans pass it, the Democrats dissent. It was kind of almost formulaic, some of the passages of these bills.
Yeah.
A lot different now, a whole lot different
Yeah, we
now.
just talked about that a little earlier before your segment, about how this relationship between the leaders has really, in a way, I think I called it reporter catnip in a way, because it has created an element of, maybe surprise is too strong a word, but uncertainty in contrast to the very scripted kabuki theater that we were seeing in the run up to the presidential election.
No, I mean, completely. Like, this session is slated at least to end in mid-March.
Mm-hmm.
Yet here I am as a reporter nervous about taking time off in April.
Well, you should be.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
June for that matter.
Who knows?
We really don't know. Now, admittedly, the session last year was one that started in March, so there's less time before July 1st, the budget deadline, to
That's
get
correct.
things done. But maybe that just means who knows what's going to happen. We haven't seen the budget proposals from either chamber yet, but when you have an extension of session last year due to budget debates, you always wonder if that's going to happen this year. And certainly there's a lot of some of the key players this session are pretty far apart on a lot of big things.
Well, so what Douglas is saying is stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Divas, we will be back with you in some form or fashion shortly, but for now,
thank you for all you've done. You've done a great job in your current position, and I can't wait to see what's coming up.
Thanks for listening to Deeper Dive with Dara, a podcast by the News Service of Florida, hosted by News Service senior writer Dara Kam and produced by me, Mike Exline. Music for the podcast was recorded by Periodic Labs, LLC.